Our guest for today is Tonny Karani Kirimi, a third-year law student at University of Embu, and he has much interest in public law, jurisprudence, development, and currently is a trainee lawyer at Gichunge and Muthuri and Company Advocate. So I'll get it back to you, Linus, for the first set of questions.
All right, Mr. Tonny, thank you for joining us today. Straight to the first question. We've been hearing about this debate about, Sakaja, then Nairobi governors debate, and all that. Just wondering, why is it so important for governors to have degrees?
Thank you so much, Linus and Jalomel Kevins, for having me. Regarding the first question that you have just asked, that why do we have governors and presidential candidates having degrees? I think from my perspective is that I will look it I will approach it in a jurisprudential way. For instance, when we look at the writers and the thinkers, Aristotle and Plato, when they talk about specialization of jobs, when they say that let one do what he is best in. For example, he gives examples of the rulers and the warriors. So the rulers are the ones that, the highlights, the ones that we expect to manage our resources and to rise into positions of government. And he says that the rulers, their virtue is wisdom. So I think now when we connect that in the current issue, that's why for me, I'll say that it didn't the governors and the presidential candidates, they need at least to have some form of degree, because that's the current measure of wisdom in our current world. However, some will still argue that leadership is inborn. You don't need a degree to to contest for a seat. But all in all, I think a degree really counts much, because when you go to debate issues of public policy and issues affecting the people, if you're not much exposed and learned, you may find it hard. I think that's my thinking.
Okay, I think that is well understood. And now moving on to the next one, there's been these opinion polls that have been going around. We have raw media services coming up with their polls. We see it on newspapers when we are walking by the streets in the morning. Let's say Azimio is actually taking the lead. The next day you see another newspaper saying that it's actually UDA that is taking the lead. And it goes on shifting and changing. Even just the other day we saw that Miguna did his own polls on Twitter, and Ruto was actually winning by more than 67%. That's a whipping defeat against Raila, who had a 27%. What do you think about the opinion polls? Do they really mean anything about the elections?
First and foremost, I think it's good to appreciate that opinion polls really do matter. But now the process and the procedures and the circumstances under which they are done is what really counts. Because if we have opinion polls which are based on true facts and they go to the real ground, then they do count. First and foremost, the idea of the opinion polls is to identify what the masses need. What are the expectations of the voters. So, but you find that our current politicians have used the opinion polls to know what the voters need, so that they can manipulate them. Therefore, that's why you will see, if our opinion poll is conducted, it will indicate that most of the youths prefer this candidate, and their issues are this one. So it will inform the politician when he or she is making the manifesto. So many a times they have been used, to shape up the ideas and the intentions of the politicians. However, in our setting, I think the independence of the opinion polls companies is to be questioned, because it appears like we cannot rely on them. sometimes they have predicted elections outcome which have not been the same. So I think we need a more holistic approach, you know, when we are debating about opinion polls. But you know, as it is, you will see people lamenting that you know, some have been paid, but it's a thing that we cannot prove. However, as much as it is, I think really opinion polls do matter if they are done in a proper manner, and then in a proper manner, in a way that they can be trusted, in a way that they reach to the people themselves. Yeah, that's it.
We do have political manifestos that various candidates do launch, but are they really of significance? Because a good example, we had President Uhuru came up with the Big Four agenda in 2017 after his election. But is that a reality right now that the Big Four agenda has been achieved? So tell us from your end, do you think that manifestos matter and should they be there generally? What's your take on that?
Thanks for that technical question. However, you see, manifestos, I'll term them as an expression of intention. You see, you are having a manifesto giving an intention of achieving something. So therefore, it's you know, it's always prudent and it's always in order for candidates or for people vying for various seats in our country to have manifestos. However, the implementation of the manifesto is another issue. Therefore, I think the implementation part is always the elephant in the room, whereby people, you know, those that are contesting for those governance position, once they land in those offices, they forget what they promised the people. So we will always have the two factions, or either candidate having the best manifesto, you know, giving people what they will do. But once they rise into power, you know, they tend to forget. So therefore, I think having a manifesto, it's good and it's commendable, but the implementation part, because I think, you know, it's rarely that we see those manifestos being implemented. For example, you are promised the laptops, you know, and we are yet to see it. So, and they're the same people who are now coming up with other promises. I think there should be a manifesto, should be a contractual document. There should be a mechanism where a person becomes liable for, you know, for what you promised the voters, so that we do not have you know, jokes with manifestos. It should be a binding, kind of a binding term, and the voters should be they should be addressed to help them you know, understand the weight of the manifesto, so that they become aware when they are picking their representatives in various offices. So perhaps I think manifestos really, they do matter, but the implementation part is what really counts.
Okay,
Hey,
okay,
just
okay.
before you say something, Jeremy, I think we should probably vote in Tony as one of the IEBC officials because he has some big points there. The manifesto. People should actually, it's time people started to be held accountable for what they promised the public and didn't manage to achieve. Yeah. I don't know how we are going to call that that offense in legal terms, because we have defamation, we have lying. Can we just come up with a term for that, or does it already exist?
Right now, I don't have such a term, but I don't know, because if a manifesto falls on the category, on the definition of the term contract, perhaps we could call it some kind of misrepresentations. But you know, we should have either a legislation to check on the mode of manifestos, and maybe where they can deposit, an entity can be formed through a legislation where they can deposit those manifestos, and that entity should be, you know, should have the mandate to check the implementation of that manifesto. I think maybe it could work, but I'm yet to research on it and see how other countries are doing it.
Okay. Thank you for that. I came up with a new concept that now political manifestos now should be contractual. Yeah, that's something new. I'll look into it. It's a new jurisprudence. Okay. Getting on to the next question. Was it this week we saw Igade and Sakaja debating the debate for the Nairobi gubernatorial race, and we saw that the first time the four candidates who scored below 1% in the opinion polls were put together, and then later on we had the candidates who scored like high, like the Sakaja and Igade. So do you think, what's your view on the debates? Do they play an important role to the extent that perhaps today I'll watch Sakaja and I'll be persuaded to vote for him, or Kenyans have already made their choice?
Thanks for that question. I think political debates are meant to, for the candidate to give their ideas and to discuss their points and their policies and to criticize each other and to see actually who is vast and who is more experienced. And I think that's the idea behind it. For example, in the debate Igate and Sakaja, it appeared to be more of a competition, roasting each other. However, they addressed the issues. It appeared to be a political conquest. So you see, in politics, really, it's not about debates, but it's about a lot of things. It's always a dirty game, as they say. So yes, debates they do matter in the electorates getting to know what the candidates have for them and how they can discuss their points, and that criticism is very good. However, our voting patterns do not reflect what happens on the debate, such that you will see a person with best ideas and best ideas, best manifestos, a person who can discuss so well, a legislator, losing to someone you didn't expect, because this is politics. So I think, well, they do matter, but they may not reflect what happens on the ballot.
Okay. Thank you for your views on the same. Now on to the last question from my end. We had the 12th Parliament, which was headed by Muthuri on National Assembly, and we also had Kenneth Lusaka from the Senate part. Now I want to get your views on the performance of the 12th Parliament. How have they performed? Have they performed dismally? Have they presented bills which have been pro-people? Have they been pro-executive? And also, as you answer that question, also give a grade to the Parliament, both to the Senate and to the National Assembly. Did they score an E from your view or an A? Tell us your views on the same.
Thanks for that question. I think Parliament, when you talk of Parliament, I guess you're talking of both the Senate and the National Assembly, or it's the National Assembly. Okay. So from the National Assembly, yes, there have been various debates. I have seen them, like for instance, when you look at the revenue sharing formula debate, the Senate tried to at least, the Senate together with the National Assembly, to have a win-win approach to the sharing of the funds. I think that was commendable. However, it took a longer time as counties were suffering and devolution was at danger. You see, they have performed, but still not yet, because when we look at other debates, such as there are various bills which are pending. We have seen the HELB. There was a bill, health bill sponsored by MP this MP from Meru, Tigania, the youngest MP. Yes, John Murigi. You see, the bill that is pro people is rejected, but the bill that touches on their issues is passed. Because what they wanted to do with the bill is to at least reduce the tax rates for the help, but no one was there to support it. So I think with those two examples for the bill, they have, you can see the strength and the weaknesses. Also, we have seen Senate being used because right now we do not have you've seen the ruling party, Jubilee, and ODM, they have combined the forces. So in Parliament, in the Senate and in Parliament, we don't see that huge debate and that opposition and that criticism, because that criticism is what brings out good ideas and good objectives. Therefore, we see a situation where you see a minority side, ODM and Jubilee members, for instance, sitting on the same place. So it seems like they have been hijacked by the executive, kind of a thing, because they have been used actually to impeach most of the governors, where you see Senate sitting from around 10 in the morning up to 12 to just impeach a person. But when it comes to motions affecting people's livelihoods, they don't give it much weight as opposed to issues, that relate to them. Therefore, I think on a scale kind of, you said 1 to 10, I would give them at least 7, because last we have seen some bills being enacted by the president. The New Children Act, it's progressive. However, they need to put more effort and to ensure their independence is respected as far as the independence of the institutions is concerned. Yes.
Okay, very well. Thank you. Linus, you can take it over.
Yes, Mr. Tony, there is a lot we can say about you, and you are an eloquent man in very many respects. And thank you very much for taking your time and having shown up to give us your perspective about this whole political and elections agenda.
Thank you so much, Jeremel and Linus, for having me. I don't take it for granted for giving me this opportunity. I think we should keep doing this every other time, so that we can discuss and see whether we can help. Also, we can come up with a legislation and discuss matters affecting our society. Thanks very much.